I hope you're having a good evening. Chief Meteorologist Zach Paul with you here in the KRCG 13 Weather Authority Weather Center. Storms, we've been talking about that tonight. Severe thunderstorm watch in effect for a few areas across northern Missouri, but we do have a tornado warning that was issued here for northern or at least northeastern Sheridan County and extreme northwestern Randolph County here. It's in effect until 8 o'clock tonight, so about another 20 minutes it's in effect here. Hail has been one of the main threats with a lot of the thunderstorms that have been across northern Missouri here this afternoon and evening. They have had a couple baseball-sized hail reports across northeast Missouri. This one potentially up to 2 inches, which is just a little bit bigger than a golf ball. And again, it's showing a little bit of rotation. We'll flip over and get you an idea of where that's at. Right now, the rotation's right there around New Cambria, right along Highway 36 and Highway 129 or 129 here. So I guess 149 to the north here and 129 to the south, but right along Highway 36 there at New Cambria. That's where this rotation is at. You've got green blowing towards the radar, red blowing away, and you get this counterclockwise spin that we're seeing here just north of Sheridan County. You can see where Clark is at on the map. Muscle Fork, latest scan shows the brighter the greens and the brighter the reds, the faster the wind speeds. And so that's exactly what we're seeing, giving you an idea of what this has done over the last really 15 minutes or so. You can see how it's quickly just sort of spun up. Peaked about 5 minutes ago, and that's what triggered the warning, and that continues to dive to the south here this evening. The good part about a lot of this is still daylight out, so we're not seeing any major damage reports coming in other than the hail. A rural part of Missouri, too, so there's not a heavy populated area. So, again, this one is a radar-indicated tornado, and that is in effect here tonight until 8 o'clock. So, again, just a little under 20 minutes from now. Zooming in and getting a little bit more detailed, sort of a street view map, and you can see where New Cambria is at on the map here. This would be the area of circulation, again, mainly right along Highway 36, and then to the south, again, heading on the east side of 129, but everybody inside of 129 to east of Highway 3, located inside of that tornado warning. You can see B Branch, you're in the path of that too. You're going to get into your safe place, heading basically almost due south, if not just a little bit east of south. Data on this particular storm is moving fairly slow, moving here at about 25 miles per hour or so. But again, it is moving south at about that 25 miles per hour. It has had hail reported up to 2 inches from this particular storm, and now the radar indicating that there is a tornado there. It's in not far from Marceline. It is 9 miles east of Marceline at the moment. And again, Buckland was up there just to the north right now, impacting areas around New Cambria. Again, moving into northern Sheridan County here, and you've got northwestern Randolph County that sits right around here. I believe that's Thomas Hill Reservoir that we're looking at out around that direction. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Sheridan and Randolph County. That in effect here tonight for golf ball sized hail, 70 mile per hour winds. And again, that's in effect until 8:45 tonight. Giving you a broader picture, we'll give you a view of what the reflectivity side of the radar looks like, showing you where some of the heaviest precipitation is at. And you can see there's Buckland on the map. That's where it was originally spotted with some of the clouds rotating and then triggered as it just went to the east here again. So it is moving to the south at about 25 miles per hour. See a few towns that are in the way there. We mentioned B Branch already. Ethel up to the north, you are in the clear. Macon, you can see Macon is actually, it's right behind me, right along 36. So Macon, you are in the clear from the tornado warning at this time, but it does include areas here across extreme northern Randolph County, northeastern Sheridan County. Again, a lot of heavy rainfall. This is still radar indicated. We are not getting any information coming in from spotters that are out in the field, again, largely in part due to the fact that there is, it's a rural populated or a rural area of Missouri, so there's not a lot of population that lives there, and those that are in the way have already seeking shelter. They're down and taking cover, which is exactly what you should be doing in situations just like this. We've been talking about the possibility for thunderstorms here tonight. You can get an idea of where things are located. Some flash flooding going on across parts of the area. Severe thunderstorm watch in effect for northern Missouri. And as mentioned, we've had a lot of baseball-sized hail reported from some of these thunderstorms earlier. And this one that's producing the tornado warning right now also leads me to believe that there is a good possibility that we are looking at some large hail. And this does have the capability or the potential to produce hail up to the size of baseballs. We'll get another view here. And slow this down to give us an idea of a little bit better. There we go. And so we've got the heaviest precipitation that's falling here just to the east of New Cambria. Some more heavy rainfall back to the east of Brookfield. Again, this entire area under a severe thunderstorm warning until 8:45 tonight, with the main threat right now starting to enter into northern Sheridan County. You're getting a lot of the heavy rainfall out ahead of that. Behind the heavy rainfall, if you're here, if you see if you're seeing or hearing the heavy rainfall, the hail is going to be just behind that, the way this is moving. So we're going to start with the rain. You're going to see the hail, and then behind the hail would be where the tornado is at with these particular storms. And again, they are producing some rotation, and that rotation is still showing up right around that New Cambria area. In fact, just to the south and east of New Cambria there, just a little bit. State Highway P in that direction. B Branch also right there. The brighter the greens, the faster the wind speeds. The brighter the reds, the faster the wind speeds. And you've got, again, green blowing towards the radar, red blowing away. Then you end up with this counterclockwise rotation, and that's what we're getting, is getting some of these thunderstorms that are starting to rotate. We said that there was a tornado threat tonight. It is on the lower side, but it was not zero. And right now, this is the only storm that is producing. The northern tier of Missouri has the best environments for that. And these thunderstorms will gradually be weakening as they move into central Missouri. But as we've talked about starting even a day or two ago, is that these storms could still pack a punch as they get here. And they're starting off that way here tonight as our first severe thunderstorm warnings come with a potential for a tornado. Again, so if you're in northern Sheridan County, you want to make sure you're taking cover here. Same thing if you're in northern Randolph County. Northern Randolph County also in the path of the tornado. The thunderstorm very much obvious here with the location of where that rotation is at. Again, sitting right along State Highway P here as it starts moving north into Highway 36. Some state routes there. You've got 129. You've got Highway 3. And again, you've also got, Macon County here. Macon still here just behind my head. You get this, I believe this is Monroe County that sits here just north of Drain County. So again, we're looking at a couple little spots here where we're seeing the potential for this severe weather. So again, all right, I was wrong. This is not Monroe County. This is still all Macon County right here. This is all still Macon County. So part of Macon County in that tornado warning. Northwestern Randolph County that you see right here. Cairo, Moberly, to give you an idea, Moberly still farther to the south right now. Moberly still in the clear. A lot of the rain still probably very dry out along Highway 24 there from Salisbury over to Moberly, but the rotation here still to the north. It's right along Highway 36. In fact, just a little bit south of Highway 36, approaching Highway 3. Highway 3 just north and east of Sheridan County there. There's been a lot of lightning within these storms, a lot of hail here too. You can see where the heaviest precipitation is falling. Could be some hail inside here too. Would not surprise me if there wasn't at least some small, maybe dime to penny-sized hail. But this does have the potential to produce hail even larger than that. But starting to see that rain shield starting to move a little further into Randolph County. Again, right along Highway 3, you get out to Sheridan County here. And again, this is going to be all north of Highway 24 at the moment. But you can see right along Highway 129 out to Route P and State Highway P. That is where the tornado warning is currently located. It's a lot easier to see it when we use the winds. Let's see what the winds are doing inside the thunderstorm. The winds allow us to see what that precipitation is doing. Is it swirling? Is it spinning? And that's what we're seeing here. The winds are moving fairly fast inside this, and it is rotating. So we know that that thunderstorm is capable of producing a tornado here at any time. If you're in northern Sheridan County, if you're in northwestern Randolph County, you want to seek shelter. You want to get into your safe place. Tornado warning here in effect until 8 o'clock tonight. And with the brighter reflectivities that we're seeing here within the couplets, I would not be surprised if this was extended a little bit further, seeing that we are close to 8 o'clock here at this point. Again, it would not surprise me if this was extended past 8 o'clock. Again, this is still some pretty tight rotation that we're seeing in that location. Some winds, again, these winds have been really the main threat that we've been talking about with the thunderstorms here tonight, is that we are going to have the potential for winds in that 70 to 80 mile per hour range. And when we're looking at some of the brighter greens, especially here on this particular map, when you start at 0 and you start working to your left with the green scale, we're right out there, which is going to be in that 70 to 80 mile per hour range potentially, if not maybe a little bit higher. Now, granted, this is high up in the thunderstorm. That's not necessarily what's going to translate down to the ground, but we are looking at some very fast winds within that thunderstorm that will create some very gusty and potentially damaging winds in these locations. So, again, Buckland out towards the Buckland area there, that is north of Sheridan County. That is another area that we're seeing some wind speeds moving fairly quickly within that area. The tornado warning here, there is some new data that's coming through. Still in effect, it's now moving to the southeast. It has shifted its direction here slightly. Originally was moving a little bit more south. Now the latest update on that shows it has drifted a little more to the southeast compared to the south. Still moving fairly slow here at about 25 miles per hour. We are, again, in a rural part of Missouri here, so we're not seeing a lot of information coming in. The good news is we're not seeing a lot of damage information coming in, which means that we know that there is not an observed tornado, but there could be a lowering within this thunderstorm. There could be a funnel cloud potentially within this. We know that when we see these kinds of conditions, while there might not be an observed tornado on the ground, we can see that the thunderstorm rotating could produce a tornado at any time, and that's what we're seeing with the couplets. And the way this is oriented here within the velocity scan of the radar, again, shows us what the winds are doing, and still showing the winds are rotating inside that thunderstorm. We know we're getting at least golf ball sized hail from a couple different reports out of this thunderstorm, a little bit farther to the north, so it still has the capability to produce hail up to 2 inches in diameter. Again, that is just a little bit larger than a golf ball at this time. And we knew winds were going to be the main threat with the possibility of hail on the back end, and we're still seeing some of that hail. In fact, let's give it a minute here to catch up. But I do think that we've got some decent-sized hail within this here. So we get up From small to large, we're seeing a lot there towards the middle, which is going to be blue. When you start seeing these blue colors here, this is 1 inch. And so we start getting up here, and this is going to be closer to that 2 to 3 inch potential. And we have had up to 3 inches with some of the thunderstorms farther to the north. And any shear, let's see what we're detecting with shear. So we do know that shear is where we're seeing with the rotation. We can see where the tornado warning polygon is at. That picks up on where some of the initial rotation was with some of these thunderstorms. Let's look at that just within the last 30 minutes. Do we have anything that's updated? Yeah, so and you can see where that was originally. It started about 7:30, so it started about 25 minutes ago. It peaked around 7:35 to 7:40 with some stronger rotation. And then a lot of that peak has since weakened in that location. But notice there is still a little bit of rotation that's being detected back off to the west. And looking at the overall scan, we're still seeing some very gusty winds. And since we're seeing a lot more with this latest scan, there could still be a little bit of rotation, again, right along Highway 36. There just to the south and east of New Cambria. But this is looking a little bit more broad in rotation, so would not surprise me if they extended it, but also would not surprise me if they decided to leave this as a severe thunderstorm warning with potential of damaging winds, golf ball or larger sized hail, and has the tag to go along with it of saying that a tornado is possible because it has had a history of rotation. But we're still seeing a lot of that across the area. Right now, we've got a pretty decent lid on mid-Missouri, and that lid that we call a cap. If you follow weather and if you follow a lot of severe weather, we talk about the cap, and the cap is essentially a lid. And if you can get above this lid, there's a lot of energy for these thunderstorms to tap into. And if those thunderstorms can get to that level, they can explode and become strong and severe rather quickly. And we're starting to see a lot of these thunderstorms that might be tapping into and breaking through that lid here just a little bit more. When we look at the thunderstorm, you can see a lot of lightning within that cell. There's a lot of lightning within that cell. And it's starting to build back to the west a little bit more. And it wouldn't surprise me if we continue to see this line fill in quite a bit more. We do have a weak frontal boundary that's going to slide through tonight. And that frontal boundary that's moving through is taking that humid, that moist air mass that we've had today, and it's lifting all that warm, moist air up into the atmosphere. That's creating a lot of these thunderstorm conditions. And as that front continues to lift that up faster, I do think we're going to find some more storm development here later on tonight. I do think, based on the timing for a lot of this, with that thunderstorm watch that we have in effect, and that the thunderstorm watch here that's, again, in effect until 10 o'clock tonight, I do think that we'll find some of those thunderstorms impacting Columbia to Jefferson City and areas closer to Highway 50 by 10 o'clock tonight. So while it might not be raining or storming in your area now, I do think that is a possibility here later on tonight. Still looking at the thunderstorm warning that's in effect here for Randolph County, Sheridan County. That until 8:45. The tornado warning with the small little section here of extreme northwestern Randolph and northeastern Sheridan County. That in effect here until 8 o'clock tonight. There has been rotation, and we'll be curious to see what happens here at 8 o'clock. It does look like the Weather Service is going to let that expire here as of 8 o'clock. So once we get to that 8 o'clock hour, they are going to let that to expire or allow that to expire, but they're going to continue to watch it because it has had that history. And the way the atmosphere is set up here for the rest of the evening, I think we could end up seeing a few more of those popping up, especially if this turns into a solid line of showers and storms. A lot of times we'll see that move in from the west where we get that bowing effect, and we talk about a squall line that has these quick little spin-up type tornadoes. And this may end up turning into be one of those types of situations where we end up with a solid line, and instead of the bow being a typical bow and arrow where you draw back this way, you get one that's actually moving to the south. So you'll see the bow almost look like an upside down, or not an upside down, but it looked like the shape of a U. And on that leading edge, you'll get these quick little spin-up tornadoes. And there's the other one. And so we talked about that just a minute ago, back towards the Buckland area. And so I want to zoom in, and that's what we're looking at here is a new tornado warning. The new tornado warning. Let's see. That information, here we go. The new tornado warning for this, now in effect until 8:30. So these are these quick little spin-up tornadoes. Usually these things will go for about 45 minutes. They are issuing these about 30 minutes at a time here, which is still very common. And so there's still a couple little areas. There's the initial area that was the first tornado warning. And so we're still seeing some very strong winds here. Mentioned back towards Buckland that there was another little area, some gusty winds. That has now triggered a new tornado warning, again here until 8:30 tonight. And so when we zoom in a little bit closer and you can see where that couplet is at, you've got winds blowing towards the radar, away from the radar, and this little spot right there is where the rotation is at. It does include Clark. B Brancher back in the tornado warning once again. This one moving to the south and east. This one moving at about 30 miles per hour. So this one here just a little bit faster, but still on the slower side of scale. Tornado warning for Sheridan County on this one, and again a little bit of Randolph County, northwestern Randolph once again until 8:30 tonight. Does have the capability of producing hail up to 2 inches, so we are seeing another strong thunderstorm. But these, once again, are fairly short-lived, peaking with some of the winds. You can see some of the reds, the brighter the greens. Very, very fast wind speeds here through the middle part of the thunderstorm. And a lot of times that translates into some damaging winds down at the surface. So while there might not be an observed tornado in this area, strong and damaging winds very likely in this region too. And not only for here, I think that's another possibility for that region there south of Callio. So we get out to Clark again, this moving to the southeast at about 30 miles per hour. Clark, you're in that. B Brancher in that once again. But that area right there just south of Buckland, that's the one to really keep an eye on. There's Marceline. And so this spot right here, this one is it's pretty close to Marceline. So at least with the outer limits for zip code purposes. Again, it's a rural part of mid-Missouri, so we're not getting a lot of information to come through. That's sometimes a good thing. Again, this also not a observed tornado, but what we're seeing here, this is pretty strong wind speeds right here. This is developing pretty quickly. Would not surprise me. This is the most pronounced signature that we've seen here with either of these two storms. So would not surprise me if this has not spun up a tornado, at least something at the ground here at this point. Rotation, still finding that's exactly where the rotation is at. It's a quick moving system. It's a smaller tornado, not seeing any debris. We sometimes would see some of the bluer or even more of maybe a non-organic types compound popping up in here, and I'm not seeing any of that. But there is quite a bit of rain associated with this, and We're seeing this is going to end up being one of those, as mentioned, quick little spin-ups. So this is not going to be standard orientation for tornado development. But what we're looking at here on a lot of this is actually going to be the winds that are blowing into the thunderstorm from the south. We've had some pretty strong and decent south winds here today. And when you see these little notches coming in from the rain, when we're showing you the reflectivity in the rain side of this, the precipitation side, this a lot of times is air that's rushing in, that's pushing some of that precipitation back compared to that with some of the rain and the air from the thunderstorm that's wanting to race out. And so what we look at here on the front edge are some of these little nodules that could find and could be an area where we're seeing those quick little spin ups on the front edge of some of these. Again, that rotation still very evident here just to the north of Clark. If you're in Clark, you need to get into your basement. You need to get to your safe place now. This is still a very prominent, tight area of rotation on that thunderstorm. Change that to this. Oh. All right, and this is just the last 15 minutes that we're looking at. You can see it spiked. It peaked about 8 o'clock. That's when the warning was issued. Grew a little bit more, a little after 8 o'clock here. That was the fastest that we've seen the wind speeds popping up here outside of its initial trigger. But it is still very, very prevalent, very evident right here just to the east of Marceline, where that thunderstorm may be producing a tornado. They are getting pea-sized hail. Rotation is visible. There are spotters that are out in the Marceline area. I believe that might be Carroll County out towards Marceline. And so our friend Glenn, he's out that direction. Glenn is the one that's spotting and telling us that we are getting and seeing some rotation from out in that area. There's some pea-sized hail along with some of those thunderstorms too out in Randolph County. So we'll back that out a little bit further. And again, some of the spotters out from Randolph County here at the bottom center of your screen are saying that this area here is reporting that they're getting some pea-sized to maybe some dime-sized hail. But there are a few more spotters that have now come online for this area. So we are starting to see at least a little bit more data coming in from the field of what's happening. And still looking at this area here, there might not be a tornado in this location here for extreme Sheridan County, but there is a lot of gusty winds. So Sheridan County and Randolph County, if you're not seeing the rain, which you're likely getting inundated with some of that heavy rain right now with all the moisture that's hanging in the air, but you're also going to be hit with some of the damaging winds on the back side of this. And the thunderstorms tonight could see, at least the strongest ones, have the potential for that 70 to 80 mile per hour winds. And we are, again, not quite seeing 70 to 80 mile per hour winds here yet. Mainly here tonight, they've been hail producers. These thunderstorms have been more of a hail producer than they have been a wind producer. But I think that's going to transition here now that we're getting a little closer to sunset. That'll start to transition into a little bit more of a wind threat and give us a few more of these quick little spin-up tornadoes. But the main area of circulation here still back to the east and southeast of Marceline a little bit. This tornado warning in effect until 8:30 tonight. Continues to move to the south and east at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. They're fairly slow moving, but they are producing quite a bit of rainfall. Still seeing some of that, the latest scan showing that maybe the rotation is broadening a little bit. Overall, these thunderstorms are going to weaken as they move to the south tonight. They are forming right now in an area that's very favorable for thunderstorm development. Show you what that looks like here on the map. We've been showing this last day or two, and earlier today they put out the risk level 3 for the area, and again, this risk level 3, that's where those storms are forming right now. They're forming right up in this area right here, right along Highway 36 in northern Sheridan and northwestern Randolph counties. Again, so that's the area that the tornadoes were the most likely, and now that we've hit the right time, they are doing their thing. As they move south, they're going to be moving into a less favorable environment. There's still going to be a little bit of energy for these thunderstorms to work with as they roll from Mexico to Boonville and south further into Jefferson City into the Lake of the Ozarks. Now, you go further south than that, that's risk level 1, even a less of a risk than what we're looking at for a lot of the big swath here through mid-Missouri. So we're still dealing with a lot of heavy rainfall across parts of the area. Here's a look at what that region looks like now. And these thunderstorms really range from about Chicago out to Dodge City, Kansas. And it's a broken line stretching from Chicago back in through Dodge City, Kansas. There's some gaps in between there, and we're getting one gap here that's impacting northeastern Missouri and now northern and eastern Missouri, and that's going to be an ongoing threat here tonight. There's some more storms back off to the west. We'll watch those closely here as we go through the rest of your evening as those storms have a chance to make it into western Missouri. We were calling for some rain tonight, even calling for the potential for strong to severe thunderstorms, and thought we'd see a little bit more of a solid line. But sometimes you don't need a solid line to see all that. Sometimes you just need a couple clusters, and that line trying to fill in here as you get out on Highway 36. But we do have the tornado warning. It's in effect here until 8:30 tonight for northern Sheridan County, northwestern Randolph County. Moberly right now not in the warning, although there were the warning sirens across parts of Randolph County are going off. So I'm not sure if they are zoned out by different quadrants within Randolph County, but the sirens are going off in Randolph County. There's a few areas that shows that some of the spotters are reporting that some of the power lines might be down, but they're not saying that that is caused from a tornado. But they are saying that they're having some communication issues. But yeah, this is very obvious. A lot of heavy rainfall across this area right now. Again, stretching from Chillicothe, and that stretches just to the north of Moberly. So Moberly right now, severe thunderstorm warning in your neck of the woods. Again, that also in effect here. But you're about to get a lot of that heavy rain that's going to roll in here. So Moberly, just as a heads up, that rain going to roll into your area here fairly soon. And behind and included with some of this rain, there might actually be some smaller hail mixed in with this. The worst of the worst right now, back up to the northwest of Moberly. In fact, just now starting to get into Sheridan County here, we can see the heavy spike in the precipitation band right here, and there's likely some decent-sized hail within that. This thunderstorm has produced golf ball-sized hail as it was a little further to the north. Continues to have the capability to produce hail up to 2 inches, which again is just a little bit bigger than a golf ball. The storm overall, the speed has slowed down. It is now moving at about 20 miles per hour. So it has varied back and forth between really 20 to 30 miles per hour. So that's on the slower side of the scale when it comes to speed for storms, and that could lead to a little flash flooding in a few spots here. Showing what the winds are doing inside the thunderstorm once again. Still looking at some damaging wind potential here across Sheridan County, east of B Branch, the area that's rotating, triggering the tornado warning here in northern Sheridan County. That's dropping to the south-southeast. That's heading towards Highway D, State Route D there. You get out to Highway 129. Also in the path of that, Muscle Fork on the extreme southwest side of that, but you're also included in the warning, especially there if you're out, closer to the town. overall, still just a ton of rain and a ton of water within these thunderstorms. And that is, again, the main threat. But that little spike in the wind speeds right there, that's pretty fast right through here. That puts us in the order up that direction, which, again, the brighter the greens or that's point transitioning over into the blue shade means you've crossed another threshold. Again, now that's all at the mid-levels of the atmosphere. Radar shooting pretty high up in this part of the state, but that still is going to equate to some pretty fast wind speeds down at the ground. Just extended the tornado or the thunderstorm watch. So we'll pop back up on this here too. Still in effect until 10 o'clock, but now includes a couple more counties. Prior to that, it was just for Randolph, Sheridan, Saline, and Howard counties, now including Cooper County, Pettis County, until 10 o'clock tonight. And I do think we'll find a few more, or at least potential for a few more counties being added into that here tonight, especially the way these thunderstorms up here have been behaving. Again, they've been dropping some fairly large hail. They got a lot of water, and you can see a little farther to the north, the earlier rounds did produce flash flooding across parts of northeast Missouri from basically Kirksville over to Quincy. But a lot of heavy rainfall through this area, and at the slow speed that they're moving, again, that might be something to keep an eye on, especially for those smaller creeks and streams. It's been dry the last day or two, but we do have the potential for some heavier rain here. So again, Brookfield to Macon right now is where we're seeing severe thunderstorm warning. That severe thunderstorm warning also in effect here for northern Sheridan and Randolph counties. That's in effect until 8:45 tonight. The tornado warning in effect here until 8:30, and you can see pockets of some essentially some stronger updrafts where we're seeing some of the heavier precipitation falling right there. Could be some hail mixed in with that. In fact, I would not be shocked if we didn't have at least pea-sized hail falling there, and it could end up with a good swath across the ground, but maybe up to dimed, even penny-sized hail. Although I don't think we'll find a lot of that larger size based on what we're looking at here. I think most of those are going to be on the smaller side. The area that was initially triggered for the tornado warning there, that rotation just to the east of Clark right now, that's become a little bit more broad, not quite as tight and focused as what we originally seen when that was issued, but still watching this area, again, from eastern Sheridan County, getting ready to head over here into northwestern Randolph County. There's still quite a bit of some damaging winds associated with that storm right there. And just looking at, let's slow that down. You can see how that just kind of picks up. This is a 30-minute loop that we're looking at right here. And that is, notice how it's kind of zigzag. It's moved a little bit southeast, and it's moved a little bit southwest, and drops a little bit southeast with sort of the structure and the winds. And then same thing with that rotation. Started back up around Buckland, and peaked here just after 8 o'clock, about 5 minutes after 8 o'clock, and has since become a little bit more broad. But you can see exactly how that's sort of evolved over the last 30 minutes here. And again, this area here, I still think we're getting some pretty decent, potentially some straight line winds out of that particular thunderstorm. And I think that's the one that was just issued, or not just issued, but that one is also in effect. Again, that one until 8:45 here tonight. A lot of heavy rainfall. Again, hasn't quite reached the Moberly area yet. Moberly, you're probably seeing some of the lighter showers that are moving in. You got a lot of that heavy rain starting to hit the Cairo area, stretching back to the northwest, getting out to the Huntsville area. You guys also going to start seeing some of that light rain if you're not already. But Huntsville, if you should at least be keeping an eye on this because you're not quite in that tornado warning, but if this were to be extended, and we've seen 2 different tornado warnings issued tonight, all for these locations in central Missouri. If that does get extended and this thunderstorm continues to behave the way it has, would not surprise me if we don't see that out around the Huntsville area here, a potential tornado warning. Same thing out for Salisbury too. Again, it's really been this northeastern Sheridan County and northwestern Randolph County. But again, if that holds together, would not surprise me to include southern Sheridan and a little bit more of western Randolph County here. Again, it has had the history of producing golf ball sized hail. Have not had any recent reports of hail out of this particular storm. A lot of the spotters, again, have had to reposition of where their location is at, and of course, if they're in the path, they're going to make sure that they get into a safe spot. But the rotation would be out here around the Muscle Fork area now. We see this transitioning. We get a little bit more of this wind blowing in, this sort of a inflow nodule right here. And so that's where we would still see a little bit of that rotation on that particular part of the storm. The thunderstorm warnings that are issued here, these thunderstorm warnings do have the potential for winds up to 70 miles per hour. So we were talking about the possibility of straight line winds. The latest update on those does show that these have the potential to produce winds up to 70 miles per hour. And again, here's what it looks like at the moment. The area that was rotating out here, very broad, would not surprise me if they don't extend this. Again, I think based on what we're seeing here, the initial tornado warning will be allowed to expire here at 8:30. The area just outside of that and getting ready to move into Randolph County, this area here, a lot of fast winds. This would not surprise me if we aren't seeing some damaging winds at the surface on this location. Definitely seeing some hail in those areas. You can see the sort of the path that it's made, the hail making a little bit more of a southeasterly trajectory. But this is the current area where that large hail is being reported. And it matches up with the winds. To get large hail, you have to have strong winds that holds the hail up in that thunderstorm for that much longer, so it can continue to accumulate the water and freeze into a larger stone. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. A lot of this very textbook for what you would expect with thunderstorm activity. And so the areas that are in the path for that wind are basically right along Highway 3 right now. Yeah, right along Highway 3, areas to the west of Highway 3 down to W. You guys ought to be on the lookout for some of those straight line winds. Maybe not a tornado here per se, but definitely some strong damaging winds in that part of the state. Yeah, right along Highway 3, you can see it right there. The rotation back off to the west, that has weakened, not nearly as strong anymore, but still looking at some potential straight line winds across northwest Randolph County. Yes, correct. Clark and Randolph County is not under threat, correct. Yeah, it's the Clark over in Sheridan County, just to clarify that. Two different areas, two different Clarks. Clark and Randolph County, not under a tornado warning, but you are inside of an area that is capable of getting thunderstorms here. A lot of information coming in from the newsroom and through our chat room that we have with our partners at the National Weather Service. Again, that room is shared by various trained spotters that are in the area too, and helps to get us real-time information for what we're seeing here. But yeah, there is a Clark and Randolph County. You are currently not under any kind of warning, just a severe thunderstorm watch. But the thunderstorm warnings will likely be impacting you very soon. But right now it is. I don't think they'll probably extend that tornado warning here based on the current reflectivity that we're seeing and the current velocity scans. But that is absolutely showing a straight line winds in that area. That is lining up very, very closely to where we're seeing the heavy precipitation. So very possible that we're seeing some fairly large hail, or at least the potential for some large hail right here. Could even be a very large downdraft inside that thunderstorm too, where you're getting a big rush of not just outward moving air, but you could get some of that air that's moving upward too. So it is just moving very, very fast. But Moberly right now, you're definitely getting some of the light rain moving into the Moberly area, just north of that right now into Cairo. Cairo getting hammered with some of that heavy rain. Same thing up to Jacksonville. There's Clark, as you can see there, top left corner of your screen, a different Clark compared to the Clark that we have in Randolph County. But yeah, a lot of heavy rainfall here, a lot of heavy precipitation, likely to be hail right here. The tornado warning in effect until 8:30 will likely be allowed to expire at 8:30. But this would be the area that I would keep an eye on and will keep an eye on for you. But if you're in the Clifton Hill area, again, right along Highway 3 down to W right now, in fact, even over to Highway 24, maybe even over to Highway C or Route C, you need to make sure you're keeping an eye on what's coming. A lot of damaging winds out there. If you're in Huntsville right now, you're probably out ahead of some of those winds. Same thing for Clifton City. And if you are in those areas, you still have time if you need to secure any outdoor lawn furniture that might be out. But you don't want to drag your feet on that. You want to make sure if that's what you're doing, you're getting to it pretty quickly. That's where the heaviest precipitation is at, likely some golf ball sized hail. The tornado warning here impacting parts of northwest Randolph County, and we get into northeastern Sheridan County. But right now, everything north of Highway 24, and this is all fairly slow moving, 20, 25, maybe 30 miles per hour at times. But overall, the threat for severe thunderstorms is still pretty great here tonight. We've talked about that. That warning will be allowed to expire. National Weather Service just confirmed that they are not going to extend that out beyond the 8:30 expiration time. But we do have new information that has come in here within the last 10, 15 minutes, and that is the severe thunderstorm watch has been extended. So we were talking about just a few minutes ago that it was now including Cooper County and Pettis County till 10 o'clock. And I mentioned that if this continues, we'll likely see that extended a little bit further. Well, that has happened here within the last couple of minutes, now including Audrain County, Boone County, Montauk, Cole, Osage, Montgomery, Gasconade counties, all in effect until 1 o'clock. So again, this now in effect until 1 o'clock for areas along from Boone County to Montauk County east. If you're in Randolph County, Howard County, you're over in Cooper County. If you're heading west, those in effect until 10 o'clock tonight. So just gives you the prognosis of the idea of how fast or how slow some of these thunderstorms are moving. But the severe thunderstorm watch has been extended to include areas along Highway 50 and to the north. And for many of us, that goes until 1 o'clock. For some of you, that will go until 10 o'clock tonight. And we still have the threat of some golf ball sized hail, some heavy rainfall, and some locally damaging winds. Some winds potentially up to that 70, maybe even 80 miles per hour, some of the strongest storms. But some of these thunderstorms have been warned for storms and winds up to 70 miles per hour. So if you're in the Moberly area, you want to brace yourself for some of those damaging winds. That's been very evident on the radar across northwest. So if you're out towards Clifton Hill there, you're out towards Huntsville, you guys absolutely want to keep an eye on the weather. Some damaging winds in your area, and you might actually want to even head to a basement, stay away from those outside walls, windows.